Empezamos a lo grande preguntándole sobre Birthmark Killer. Es una de las historias más fascinantes, además que comparte pantalla con uno de los que ya pasó por el canal, Mike Ferguson. Me gustaría saber cómo es el desenvolvimiento de esa historia, que ya lleva un poquito ya del rato, y cómo fue la experiencia, además de asumir un rol. Usted siempre, los roles que tú asumes son bastante grandes en cuestión de altura y de calidad.
Mhm. Okay, we start. John started by saying sorry for the technical issues, and we start with a very recent project that is the Birthmark Killer, in which you are with a friend from this channel that is Mike Ferguson. Mike Ferguson was one of the first interviews we made, and we want to know, yes, more aspect about this role. What can we expect from this character, from this project? That we are really expecting it just to watch you and our friend Mike acting.
Sure. Well, I mean, the filmmaker and the writer, Reza Mashiaki, he's very passionate about the project, and he engaged me to be I guess, the profiler or the criminal psychologist character in the story. You know, it's about serial killings, and after my shoot dates, as that character, he then contacted me again because he needed to weave some of the scenes together through voiceover. And so he had me also come in as the police captain to do kind of narration that would kind of sew some of the elements of the story together.
Hey John, dice que el escritor de este proyecto, que se llama Reza Machayeki, es un nombre un poco complejo, dice que está muy apasionado con esto y que sí, de hecho contactó a Ray y todo el proyecto, digamos que todo este perfil psicológico, porque sabes muy bien que es un policía, pero un policía con un perfil muy interesante, todo se hizo por voiceover. Sabes muy bien que Ray es un artista voiceover y eso le va a preguntar, y eso dio a que se llevara a cabo pues este proyecto, o sea, como que se buscó el perfil y pues nada, yo ya lo quiero ver porque se viene con nuestro amigo. ¿Quién viene? Yo no sé.
César, César tiene la palabra.
Gracias, hola, buenas noches a todos, un saludo a nuestro invitado. Yo quiero hablar sobre un cortometraje que está por salir, que se llama Blackout. El cortometraje habla sobre las adicciones y bueno, la pregunta es si el señor Rey cree que el cine puede ser un medio para entender mejor las adicciones con todas sus etapas y esto identificándonos con el protagonista.
Okay, this is now also a new project. You appear on a short film Blackout. It's a movie that, well, it's a short film that deals with the subject of addictions. And the question is, how do you feel that every media, I don't know, movies, short film, series, can help us to, I don't know, bring a light about this particular subject? And of course, tell us about your role in this project.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Caitlin, she wrote and produced the film, and I had a very small role. I played a bartender in a scene, but I was happy to support her in her project. It was like a passionate project for her. I think it kind of followed her own story of addiction and how she got out from under that. But yeah, I think film, has a very important role to play. It can deliver messages, or it can also maybe just provoke an audience to discuss things without preaching to the audience. It might just present a question. And then I think some of the best film is when the film is over and you have an audience that's engaged, talking to one another, both pro and con, for or against certain issues. I think that's the best thing that film can do is entice and a conversation.
Wow, and this is very brave from Clayton. It's great to be so sincere and make art of the struggles. Okay, I will translate. Vaya César, a pesar de que digamos que es un rol pequeño el que realiza Ray, es un proyecto muy bonito porque fue llamado por Caitlin Carleton, es una amiga, es una gran amiga de Ray, y aquí lo increíble, pues nos lo está diciendo nuestro entrevistado, es que parte de una historia personal de ella cómo ella estaba lidiando con este problema tan fuerte, Y pues dice muy bien que, bueno, a pesar de ser un rol pequeño, que es bueno hacer parte de proyectos que de cierta manera se convierten en vehículos para tratar este tema, pues con la sinceridad que se merece. Yo le dije ahí a Rey que me parece muy valiente por parte de ella, que haya convertido este tema en arte. Y John, yo quiero que hagas la siguiente pregunta.
Claro, además del rey, yo quiero felicitarlo y quedo admirado yo por un documental que él realizó que se llama Ras and Bullet, la historia de Mary Wesley. Detallando un poco bien el documental, la verdad, créame que es muy fuerte y lo que quiero saber es por qué es importante de que en la actualidad deben visualizarse el tema del suicidio. ¿Cómo usted ve esos temas plasmados en el cine? Que por qué no tienen esa vitalidad, porque son necesarios. ¿Cómo fue recopilar todo eso y también transformarlo como en un mensaje? ¿Qué mensaje le quiere dar a esas personas que están viviendo esa situación? Como lo fue el Wesley.
Okay, I'm happy for John doing this question because talking about bravery and the filmmaking, we have to congratulate you. You also direct a project called Rats and Bullies that deals with a very, very delicate subject. And John feels that sometimes this subject or is mistreated or is not given the seriousness that really needs. So we want to know, how do you recopilate all this information? How do you transform it in this piece? Because we know that you're not only the director, you do the voiceover, and I read, of course, your biography, and I'm amazed because you do an amazing work with your voice in every aspect. So tell us more about this project, this particular project.
Yeah, this was a project that I worked on with my ex-wife at the time. It was back in the early 2000s. And it was at a time when the whole idea of relational aggression and bullying was kind of a new kind of topic. And at the time, we had seen an episode actually of, I think it was Oprah Winfrey, in which the mother of the victim, who was the primary subject of the documentary, the mother appeared on to talk about her daughter's story. And we were moved by it. And we just thought, well, this is good to know that this story happened. And now we need to kind of bring it to a different audience and maybe expand on it. So that was kind of what got Rats and Bullies moving forward. So we spent probably about 31 days in British Columbia, in interviewing different people who had to do with the story. And just to summarize, the story was basically a 13-year-old girl who had been bullied by girls at her school to the point that she felt her only recourse was to take her own life and just escape life. And we thought that's such a tragedy, but it's also the story of so many children, who don't realize there's a world out there and you can reinvent yourself over and over again, that what defines you in one moment when you're 12 or 13 doesn't follow you the rest of your life. You can become someone new. You can, turn the page. And that's kind of the message we wanted to make sure that the documentary presented to the kids who saw it. And then later, after Rats and Bullies had its life, my ex then produced Bullies and Friends using some of the same footage. So that's why there's two projects with similar names.
Wow. Okay, I will translate. John, este proyecto nos damos cuenta que tiene bastantes años, o sea, digamos que se adelantó bastante a tratar un tema. Creo que se basó en una historia que él escuchó en Oprah, muy fuerte, de donde la madre, pues, de la muchacha protagonista de British Columbia, cuenta cómo esta muchacha que fue, pues, constantemente matoneada, pues decidió narrar esto con este material en vivo, o sea, un material grabado que fue el que obtuvo después Ray y pues en ese momento su esposa, que fue la otra persona que está en este corto. Eso llevó a que se hablara ese tema y después, digamos, como que fue tomando vida propia. Démonos cuenta que se está hablando de eso 20 años atrás. Es un tema que tal vez se ha tratado no de la manera correcta, yo le voy a entender lo que tú quisiste decir. Y nada, digamos que existe otro proyecto similar que fue como la continuación con con el footage, lo que se ha grabado, pero pues sí, fue un proyecto muy valiente y pues hermoso, yo siento, que hizo Ray.
Bueno, hay otro cortometraje en el que él aparece que igual está por salir, que se llama Ruby's Dad. Acá quiero leer una frase que tiene el director donde describe el cortometraje. Dice que la familia es la conexión con la que siempre deberíamos poder contar. Entonces la pregunta es, si nuestro invitado cree que si hacen falta más proyectos como estos para fomentar la unión con la familia. Y también que nos hable de cómo participó acá, porque la producción que consiguieron para hacer este cortometraje está bárbara. Yo vi ese video y me pareció increíble.
We are going to talk about another new project that is Ruby's Dad. Cesar is a filmmaker from Mexico. He said that he watched the trailer and feel amazed because he saw really good values on production, a really beautiful work. And he read a phrase from the director that's talks about the family. So the question is, what is the importance of this kind of projects that can be shown to the families, the projects that everybody can enjoy and also can, I don't know, create conversations amongst the families. Tell us more about this project.
It's a final thesis film for a student named David Chen, I believe, or I can't recall how his last name's pronounced, but my understanding is he's from Switzerland, and this is his final thesis film. It's a well-written piece, about a father who is just obsessed with sports, and how he at first kind of brusquely ignores the needs of his daughter over some pre-programmed need that he has to satisfy something his father would have been proud of him for. And when he realizes what's real and what's not, what's important and what's not, then it's kind of like a coming to terms with, this, what I thought was important, getting an autograph from one of my father's heroes, isn't worth all the trouble and all the heartbreak that I'm putting my daughter through. And he kind of grows up and becomes a real dad at that point.
Wow, this Cesar and John, as a student filmmakers, will love this answer. Pues John y César, sorpréndanse. Eso es una tesis final de un estudiante suizo de cine. O sea, miren el nivel. Dicen que es claro, es un proyecto creo que a uno de nuestros invitados le va a encantar también, pues ya saben a quién, a Jade. Es un proyecto donde un padre, digamos, que lucha por hacer, digamos, como que conseguir un autógrafo a su hija por parte de un deportista, pero ocurre una serie de situaciones que demuestran, que logran que, a pesar, digamos, de las complicaciones, que crezca esa relación entre padre e hija y también que crezca ese rol como padre, a veces de las decepciones. Lo que me tiene sorprendido, y es como lo dice César, es que algo de esa calidad sea un trabajo de tesis. Wow, y yo le dije a Rey que ustedes iban a amar esa respuesta.
Las amamos.
Okay, moving on for the first question I did before the shooting. In fact, I want to ask this. I was watching and you answered me that yes, you made like background appearances in series that back in like 20 years, but I was watching that later you had very, let's see, a most seen appearance on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I want to know, working on all these series and being as a background or on a small roles, I don't know if you feel the same. Do you feel that they don't make this kind of shows anymore? Or do you feel that no, we now got better stuff, or the comedy is just different? I don't know. I wanna know the answer because as I was telling you, all these shows were hits back 20 years here in Latin America.
Right. Yeah, I think things have changed. I just think that the market's changed. Back in the early 2000s, sitcoms. There were black sitcoms, there were white sitcoms. But I think that the market got saturated with so much content that the quality went down, and so certain types of sitcoms just kind of disappeared. And I think also the advent of reality TV has kind of replaced some of the sitcoms, because now you have this supposedly unscripted environment that's also comedic that people are tuned into, because I think they just want more of the realness and the improvisational quality of it, which, Curb Your Enthusiasm is an unscripted show with a broad outline, but it's very comedic and it's very controlled, but you do have room to improvise in that. So I think that type of show might have brought on some of the reality TV that we see today that's kind of replaced all those old sitcoms.
Thank you. Bueno, créanme que aparte de salir de la duda, sí quería esa respuesta, pues le pregunté, él antes de la entrevista me había dicho que en varias series que pues yo amo, él hizo fue como roles de fondo, pero pues se sabe muy bien que él tuvo un rol prominente en Curb Your Enthusiasm, que es una serie obviamente de Larry David, y él dice que de hecho esa serie se convirtió como el paradigma, por así decirlo, de lo que es ahora el tono de comedia que sé manejar. ¿Por qué? Recuerden que hace 20 años se saturó el mercado de sitcoms, al punto que pues cayó, o sea, que pues, se perdió la calidad y pues fue llegando la reality TV, es que estamos hablando de hace 20 años. Y Curb Your Enthusiasm fue de los primeros proyectos donde el todo era improvisado, pero con un tono cómico. Obviamente vemos muy bien que lo primero que aparece en la IMDb es esa participación, y pues digamos que él hizo parte como de ese punto de inflexión que llevó a que la comedia haya madurado. Pues tienen que ver ese episodio de Kurt, que es buenísimo. Y John, yo sé que te mueres por la que hacer, o viene César, no sé.
No, antes de dar la que yo tanto digo, yo vi en unas pequeñas entrevistas que ha podido realizar Drake, y es sobre las escenas sin créditos. Las escenas sin créditos, dice él que son importantes porque ven un mundo distinto, y me gustaría preguntarle sobre cómo se visualiza, o sea, un actor estando en escenas, o sea, de roles, o sea, sin acreditaciones, pero aún así, cómo es el ambiente, cómo es el día a día o sea, de un actor que obviamente aprende mucho más que como lo estaría aprendiendo en grandes producciones. Me refiero a estas que yo te envié para que de pronto él fluya.
Okay, before the question that John wants to make and he's dying to do, this is another. John watched a previous interview in which you talk about the uncredited roles and the learnings in the process from this kind of roles. What are your, I don't know, the things that you learn, or the things that, I don't know, you want to share in this experience, mostly on these projects? Pick wherever you want. Moon Over Miami, Staging Afloat, or Ace Ventura Pet Detective.
Yeah, I think Ace Ventura was an interesting experience, because that was Jim Carrey's first big splash into the film world, and to see him early in his career, I think was kind of an eye-opening experience to see, where he's gone since, and watching him parade around in the pink tutu was pretty comical, and but that was a case where I was early in my career, and I was living in Florida at the time, so that shot in Miami, and I was working, I think, as a doctor in the asylum scenes, but it was nice because I had 2 or 3 days shooting on that, and yeah, it was I got to meet the actress Courtney Cox, who also went on to do Friends. Friends hadn't even come out at that point. That's how old the movie is. But I think the 6 months or 7 months afterwards, that's when Friends came out. So yeah, it was a very good experience. It was good to see the people, some of the people we consider A-list actors today, back when they were starting out. It's interesting to have that perspective, and just to keep in mind too. I mean, I'm 6'4", so I don't get cast a lot unless the lead is taller, because the whole height thing. So when I do get roles, they're mostly going to be bad guys, thugs, monsters, Santa Claus, those kinds of things. Something a little bit bigger than normal. So that's something I've had to accept and embrace as I move forward in my career.
And I want to ask you something, because how this casting changes in the other stage, that is the theater, the opera. How this works, because I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued because I know very little about opera, but I really love all the arts. So tell us how these aspects of casting changes. Not only in the voice, that you have a very beautiful voice, of course, but in the way, because sometimes I watch that in opera, sometimes they really need the baritone, a very big guy. Tell us.
Yeah. I mean, musical theater was my first love. That's what got me going into acting, and then I just adapted that into living in California and realizing there's less stage work for me and more film and commercials and TV opportunities. So yeah, I mean, on the stage, the size isn't as important, I think, because it's not about aspect ratio. It's more about chemistry. And if Tommy Tune was a famous, very tall singer dancer who worked a lot, often on Broadway, and they would just have people dancing around him and he could still be seen because he was so tall, So I actually feel that about me, that I was actually made to be danced around. I'm not a dancer. So I'm a singer, I'm an actor, and you plant me in one spot and have people move around me, and it might be a good show.
And before I translate, it's crazy because Jim Carrey was dancing in a pink tutu in the scene, so you're an actor that let the other people dance. Okay, right. I will translate. Bueno, John, seré breve. Esto nos habló fue de su experiencia en Ace Ventura. Dice que fue increíble porque aparece, él es uno de los médicos que aparece en la escena donde Jim Carrey aparece en el tutú rosa. Dice que fue genial porque, de hecho, fue el primer rol, pues, grande en el cine de Jim, y también uno de los primeros de córnicos. Esto fue mucho antes de Friends. Creo que el Friends empezó a grabar a los 6 meses. Dice que fueron 3 días de grabación. Eso fue cuando él vivía en Florida. Y le pregunté porque él entiende muy bien que por su consistencia siempre le tienen que dar roles, él dijo, de Santa, del malo, porque pues es un hombre fornido. Entonces yo le pregunté que cómo cambian esos aspectos de casting en el otro campo, que es la ópera. Él dice que de hecho ahí no se fijan tanto en el aspect ratio, sino pues en la voz. Y él dice que incluso, ¿no? Que pues compara con Tommy Tune, que era un cantante altísimo, donde él decía que generalmente podría tener 20 bailarines al lado, porque él ha hecho teatro musical, y él se podría ver. Entonces yo le dije en tono de broma, él dice que no le gusta bailar, le dije, pues mira, tanto en la ópera como en el cine, pues tú te quedaste quieto y Jim Carrey es el que bailaba, ¿no? El que te acuerdas muy bien de esa escena que es icónica.
Muy memorable. De hecho,
okay, dale, John.
Antes de darle la última batuta a César, le hago la pregunta yo, la más esperada por mí. Trey, ¿cómo es tu experiencia y qué esperaremos de tu trabajo con David Lettuce? No sé si puedo decirlo, pero yo sé que va como tren bala.
I don't know if we can say the name of the movie, but we can, John, and all we want to know, how was your experience in this crazy project from David Lettuce that is coming? Because I saw the casting and it's crazy, it's bonkers, a lot of people, that we got what we can expect from you in this craziness.
Yeah, I played a Russian thug, and it was in a scene that takes place. I guess the train moves, and then at one point it stops for about a minute, and one of the characters, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, comes out and meets with this group of thugs, and I'm one of those thugs. So there's a brief meeting as the train has stopped for just a moment, and then after that scene, he gets back on the train. So that was the only experience I had with the principal actor. Was only with Aaron Taylor Johnson, who you know from the Avengers movie and lots of other things. I think Kick-Ass he was in. But yeah, one thing I can share with you that is very emblematic of the times is that during the week that I was shooting on that, one of our days got canceled because one of the crew members tested positive for COVID. So we actually had a complete shutdown of the production for one day. And of course, they had to pay everyone for that one day too. But that was early in the whole COVID-19 process. And I think the film industry was just adapting to, well, what's our liability? What do we need to do? What's in the best interest of everyone? And so all precautions were being taken back then. And now that people have become vaccinated, I think things are beginning to loosen up to where you don't have those kind of shutdowns anymore. But that was indicative of where we were when we were filming.
Sí, es uno de los matones rusos, comparte una escena con Aaron Taylor-Joy. Dice que un dato que puede dar es que se tuvo que cancelar por un día la grabación, pero es una grabación obviamente con mucho dinero, porque fue uno de los primeros casos donde se tuvo que cancelar en Hollywood un día de grabación por lo del COVID, porque esto fue grabado mucho antes, 2019. Dice que esto llevó a que se tomaran después las precauciones que se están tomando en eso, pero yo creo que con lo que te dije vas a morir, ¿no? Entonces continúa, César.
Oh, César, sí, la última pregunta.
La última.
Ok, vale. Hay un cortometraje también que está próximo, ya puse el nombre aquí en el chat para que no haya mucho tema. Es Maestres Candy, no sé, algo así. En esta película el fetichismo es como que lo importante. Entonces quiero preguntarle a nuestro invitado, señor Ray, ¿cómo preparó a su personaje?
Okay, last question. It's crazy because I remember an interview when we told before of this subject. It's about Mr. Scandi when this movie deals with fetishism. And so, yes, it's crazy. How do you prepare for this role? It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, this was a student project, someone I think in their final year, and it was a different role. Like I explained to you before, I'm 6'4", and I get a lot of typecasting in certain types of roles. So when I do a student project, I'm looking really to do maybe something outside of the normal range of characters I would do, and this fit the bill. He's essentially someone who sexually harasses someone in the workplace. She quits because she feels pressure to not be going to work anymore. And unbeknownst to him, her roommate or partner is a online dominatrix. And that dominatrix basically gets him as a client so that she can enact revenge on him for the harassment that he did to her partner. Does that make sense?
Totally. I will translate faster for this interview. Only Daniel, César y John lo van a amar. Es otro proyecto, un estudiante. Los estudiantes la están rompiendo. Sí, dice que también fue una cuestión de que él entendiendo que pues era perfecto para el rol, pues por lo que él mismo ha dicho, es un hombre alto, grande, es muy loco, sin hacer spoilers. Resulta que trata más que todo el tema es del acoso laboral y es de una mujer que está siendo acosada y lo que pasa es que ella tiene, digamos, como una doble vida y es una dominatrix online. Wow. Y es muy gracioso porque Ray es como una especie de compañero de cuarto, me estoy imaginando ese casting loquísimo, y él tiene que ser parte del juego para que ella se pueda vengar de la persona que está abusando. No voy a decir más nada, y yo creo que lo que nos resta es felicitarlo.
Bravo.
Great, that was great. Drake, ¿el salud? Sí.
Sí, por favor.
Great. You got the camera is yours. Send a hi, a salute to the channel, to the people from Latin America, Colombia, Mexico, wherever. And give us your social media so people can follow you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me, everyone. And it was a pleasure talking to you. I'd love to do it again sometime. Please, tune in. I've got some other projects coming up. I'm filming a TV project later this week for Peacock TV. where I'll be playing Kane, the wrestler, and the Undertaker for a new project by John Cena. It's called WWE EVIL, and I guess it'll be coming out sometime next year. But it's like a documentary series based on the evil bad guys of the wrestling world. So I'm looking forward to filming that. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Ray Buffer, and you can also go to my website, raybuffer.com.
Big fan of wrestling,
Wow.
and I will translate this. John, creo que lo viste. Va a filmar un proyecto en Peacock sobre los villanos del wrestling. Es un proyecto de John Cena. Es con Undertaker. Y dijo Ray que le encantó hacer esto y que si desea lo puede volver a hacer cuando quiera la entrevista.
Claro,
Ray, you're always welcome. And John is dying. John, he wanted an answer and get more answers that he will love and carry in her heart.
La verdad estoy muy agradecido, muchas gracias, solamente quiero darles las gracias y no, estoy muy agradecido, César, Andrés. Sí,
pues nada, pues igual, muchísimas gracias y ojalá se vuelva a repetir pronto. Es increíble el talento del señor Ray.
Thank you.
Ray understand the great Spanish. Yes. We hope that this repeats again, and it's amazing your talent, man. And when John told me that we're going to interview you, just wow. And I start reading it. Yes. It's great. It's to have you here, man. And of course, you're always welcome. And we hope, I will tell, you can share later that project with John. John will share it every that project with John Cena, man.
yes.
I just booked that today, so that's why it's news. So I just wanted to let you guys know in case you did follow wrestling.
That's great news, John. Es que ese proyecto lo firmó hoy. O sea, es exclusivo.
Exclusivo. Wow.
I'm looking forward to watching The Peacemaker on HBO too. That looks like a good series.
Oh, sí.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Wow.
Para mí un honor, eso lo compartiré y muchas felicidades y mucho éxito.
Just Ray, we will share all your projects. Send us wherever you want, and thank you so much, man.
And keep in touch. All of you keep in touch too. All right.
Yes, John, que sigamos en contacto.
Cool.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, don't forget to follow your son, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.